Mm, Poetry in liquid form. Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Heather, and as always, I'm reading with a vengeance, and I hope you are too. I don't think I've said this in a while, but much love to all you OGs who keep coming back. And if you're new to my channel, very warm welcome to you. I hope everybody is doing very well. This is one of my favorite videos to do. This is the video that blows up your TBR. You're welcome. This is when I do a research to find out which books that are coming out in the following month that I am super excited about, and I share those books with you. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the books that are going to be released in the month of August 2023. So I have 6 books to share with you, and it's a doozy of a month. I'm really excited about these books that I'm about to talk to you about. And I'm even more excited because I have ARCs for 3 of them. So super exciting. I actually have physical books to share with you. So I'm just going to jump right on into things. The first book that is coming out next month that I'm super excited about is The Connellys of County Down by Tracy Lang. I read Tracy Lang's debut novel, We Are the Brennans, and I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. It was a family drama saga. There was a little bit of a mystery involved there. There's family history and secrets, and it was a good time. I liked her writing. So when I saw this, I knew I wanted to read it. And this one takes place in Ireland. This is contemporary literary fiction, and it is 288 pages, so it's not that big of a book. Yeah, it feels thicker than it is. So this is one of those books that I feel I can get through in a couple of days. This one follows Tara Connolly, who at 30 years old is faced with rebuilding her life after spending 8 months in prison for a drug charge. She returns home to, I'm sure, County Down to live with her brother and sister, who are each facing their own issues. Her brother is a single dad who is still struggling with the effects of a brain injury that he sustained when he was younger. Her sister is dealing with some deep, dark secrets, but she has an outward calm appearance, but it's beginning to crack under the burden of carrying around these secrets. So Tara goes home to live with her family, but instead of things getting easier and back on track, things get a little bit crazier as the cop who initially arrested Tara starts coming around again, and he's digging for who knows what. And it's making Tara's life miserable. And on top of all that, Tara meets somebody and she starts to have feelings she never expected to have for someone she never expected to have feelings for. As the story unfolds, secrets are revealed, and it's going to take this family coming together or lose each other forever. So this one is dealing with themes of mental illness, of family, loyalty, good intentions gone wrong. So I think I'm going to really enjoy this one. I'm excited to have an arc of it, so yay me. But for the rest of you, The Connellys of County Down by Tracy Lang comes out August 1st. The next book I'm super excited to come out next month is The Last Ranger by Peter Heller. Now, Peter Heller's most recent book was The River. I didn't read that one. However, I read his The Dog Stars, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I would have loved it, but it had a very unusual structure to it that I can't really explain right now, but I just remember it was unusual for me. But the more I read over the years and the more structure of a book is something that authors experiment with, I'm getting more used to unusual structures. I think with flipping through this book, I think that unusual structure is also used in this book. So I think with his storytelling ability and my being more comfortable with an unusual structure, I think I'm going to love this one. Anyways, this is actually a literary / mystery thriller, and it's only about 304 pages long. So that's kind of a sweet spot as far as page length. This one follows Wren, who is a park ranger at Yellowstone National Park. And I have to say that that kind of popped out at me too when I saw Yellowstone. Do you guys watch Yellowstone? It's one of the best shows on TV right now. Anyways, Wren, as a park ranger, his duties run the gamut between very boring, like breaking up campsite fights or protecting tourists from moose attacks, to the not so boring and high stress, maybe high thrills, with brokering peace between the wealthy vacationers who come tromping through the natural landscape and the beauty that is Yellowstone National Park with their expensive toys and their cameras, between those folks and the people, the locals who live there who are trying to make a living. Things take a turn for the worse when a conflict between a local hunter and a wolf biologist turns violent. And it turns out that wolf biologist is a friend of Wren. And when Wren finds his friend trapped, near dead, in a steel wolf trap, then Wren is kind of sucked into the investigation to find out what happened. And the investigation ends up becoming a little bit more complicated than just an angry poacher when Wren ends up at odds with a group of local ranchers who have formed an alliance against the park and Wren because he is in the position to protect it. So we have a couple of boxes ticked for me. We have a mystery thriller. We have nature conservation, and all that together in one story. So I'm really, really looking forward to this one. And again, I'm super excited that I already have a copy, an ARC. But if you're as excited as I am about this one, The Lone Ranger. The Last Ranger by Peter Heller comes out August 1st. Okay, this next one I don't have a copy of, but I want to talk about these books in order of publication. And I typically don't talk about books or get overly excited about books that everybody and their mother is excited about. But there is a popular author that is coming out with a book in August, and I actually am excited about this one. So I wanted to talk to you about it, but I'm not excited about it for the same reasons that I think a lot of people will be excited about. And let me just get to it. So the book I'm talking about is Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney. So Alice Feeney is a super popular mystery thriller writer. I've only read one book by her, and that was Sometimes I Lie. And I have to say that I was completely engrossed in that book and really, really loving it and really looking forward to finding out what happened and then being completely confused by the end. I mean, if you go to my Goodreads, I think the review that I left is, what just happened? Were they both crazy? What happened? And I didn't really do any kind of deep dive to find out what exactly happened, but I was confused by it. And I've been meaning to read some of her other popular ones like Daisy Darker and Rock, Paper, Scissors, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I do want to give Alice Feeney another try to see if maybe it's me. Am I the drama? Am I the reason that I couldn't understand Sometimes I Lie? And this synopsis, I thought, was something that I could definitely get behind. So, of course, Good Bad Girl is a mystery thriller. It's only about 320 pages. Again, the sweet spot with the length of a book that I enjoy. After reading the synopsis, I think we're going to be dealing with an unreliable narrator. That's just a guess. We have one victim, 2 murders, 3 suspects. So that's what we're dealing with here. So I think it starts off that a baby is stolen from a stroller. You follow that storyline for a brief amount of time. And then 20 years later into the present day, a woman in a care center is murdered. And somehow we find out that these 2 incidents are linked. So in the present day storyline, we're following Edith, who is an 80-year-old woman who is living at a care home against her will. I think she was tricked into being put in this care home, and Edith is plotting her escape. And I think I'm going to enjoy that little part of the storyline more than a lot of other things, but that's just me, because I think I'm going to be that person. If anybody puts me in a home, things are going to go down. But I digress. Meanwhile, as Edith is planning her escape from this care home, she befriends Patience, who is like a volunteer candy striper type or nurse's aide or something that works at the care home. Edith connects so well with Patience. I mean, she really thinks Patience is her kindred spirit. But what you come to find out is Patience is lying to Edith about everything basically that comes out of her mouth. Then we also have Cleo, who is Edith's daughter. And Cleo is not speaking to Edith at all. We're not sure why yet. But Cleo is about to get a visitor with sinister intentions. So we have these 3 women who have every reason not to trust each other, but they have to come together to find out how the murder of the old woman in the care home and the stolen baby from 20 years ago, how these incidents are linked together. So in this book, we have themes of elder abuse, and we have themes of good people doing bad things. So I know Alice Feeney is like an auto-buy for a lot of mystery thriller readers. She hasn't been for me. I've been kind of intrigued by the other couple of books that I mentioned, but this one really had me perk my ears. So I am excited about this one. I will probably get to this one before I get to Daisy Darker and Rock, Paper, Scissors. Famous last words, right? I'm going to do my best. Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney comes out August 3rd. Next up, we have another author that I've been excited about since I've read one other book of his. We have The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. I read James McBride's Deacon King Kong, and I loved it. And it was one of those books I think I initially gave like 4 stars, but as it sits with me over time and as it comes to mind right now, I almost want to go back and give it 5 stars. But anyways, we're going to talk about this book. Super excited about having a copy of this one. Of course, an ARC that I got from work. This one's a little bit thicker than the other ones. This is historical fiction and it is about 400 pages long. So a little bit longer than I prefer, but if the story is just right, then 400 pages is okay. So I read the back of this, and I have to say the plot is kind of all over the place. So I will do my best to summarize it for you. But the plot is all over the place, and there's lots of characters with strange connections. And I just remember Deacon King Kong being like that, but it all came together at the end in such a delicious way. I think that's going to happen here as well. Deacon King Kong had such compelling and vividly written characters. And if I just get that in this, it's going to be worth the read. This story takes place in a neighborhood called Chicken Hill, which is a rundown area of Pottstown, Pennsylvania, where the population consists of immigrant Jews and African Americans. The central characters, sorry about that glare. Let me see if I can hold this without blasting you with the glare. About like that. Okay. The central characters are Moshe and Chona Ludlow. Moshe runs a local theater and Chona runs the Heaven and Earth grocery store. So there's a storyline that a skeleton was found at the bottom of the well while they were digging the foundation for a new development back in 1972. This new development ended up being Chicken Hill, and the residents of Chicken Hill have lived with and shared the secret of who that skeleton was and how it got there ever since. There's another storyline where the government comes to take a deaf boy away and put him in an institution. And Chona comes together with Nate, who works as a janitor at Moshe's theater. They work together to keep the boy safe and out of the government's hands. So we have all these, I think, character developments happening and these storylines that are going on. And I think there's going to be questions that the reader has as you're reading of how these storylines are connected. Then the truth comes out about the skeleton. I think that's how all the storylines and the characters are going to come together and connect. And McBride did such a great job of doing that in Deacon King Kong that I absolutely believe that that's what's going to happen here. So I am super excited to get into this one. Of course, we have themes of race, we have themes of class, poverty, which are all themes that McBride handles beautifully, in my opinion. If I haven't said so, I feel super lucky that I have a copy of an ARC, so hopefully I will get to this sooner rather than later. The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride comes out August 8th. The next book I have to talk to you about is Happiness Falls by Angie Kim. Angie Kim is the author of Miracle Creek. I did not read that one, but the synopsis of this one I'm super excited about. This is another mystery thriller. It's about 400 pages. It's got a pretty straightforward plot line. So I think what's going to happen are there's going to be some twists involved here that we don't see coming. So I'm just super intrigued. I really like it when a synopsis of a book is shorter rather than longer. I like to find things out as I read the book. And so this is an example of not a whole lot going on when I read the back of the book, but just enough to have me intrigued and excited for it. So in Happiness Falls, we're following a biracial Korean-American family. We have a mother, a father, and then 2 grown children, young, like 20s, Mia and Eugene. One day, the father and Eugene go out for a walk, and they don't return when they're supposed to. Mia, who is kind of the hyper-analytical type, she thinks there's a good reason for everything. So she kind of gives excuses of, well, maybe they ran an errand, or maybe they lost their cell phone, or whatever. So the police are not called right away. But then Eugene shows up alone and he's covered in blood. But here's the thing. Eugene suffers from a neurological syndrome, which not only affects his intellectual development, but he is unable to speak. So he is a less than ideal witness. And it doesn't say it in the synopsis, but I imagine he becomes suspect number 1 as well. So the story goes from there. Of course, we're probably gonna have family secrets. I think there's going to be twists. I think this one's gonna be a good one. This one reminds me of my favorite Celeste Ng book, and that is Everything I Never Told You. Absolutely love that one. But anyways, we're going to have themes of neurodivergence, language, race, human communication, and connection. This one's going to be a good one, I think. Happiness Falls by Angie Kim comes out August 29th. So this last one that I'm going to talk to you about is a little bit of an odd duck for me. And I'll tell you, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone for a couple of reasons. And I'll tell you in just a second. The book I'm talking about is Terrace Story by Hilary Leichter. This is contemporary literary fiction with a touch of fantasy and magical realism. So there's the first reason why it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, because I think it leans more heavily on fantasy than the magical realism. And also, I think I'm not going to say it's short stories, but it's kind of broken up in 4 almost novellas, but they're connected. Usually that structure I don't have a good track record with, but I think the connection is going to be so much that it reads a little bit more like a novel in 4 parts rather than 4 separate stories. At least I'm hoping. But anyways, let me tell you what it's about. It has kind of Narnia vibes to it. So that kind of just piqued my interest. So this follows Annie and Edward and their young daughter Rose. They live in a cramped apartment in a crowded city, and one night, apropos of nothing, they open up their coat closet or something like that, and they discover this huge, beautiful terrace. However, it only appears when their friend Stephanie comes to visit. Not sure what that's about, but anyways, the family comes to not only accept this bit of magic that has come into their lives so unexpectedly, but they enjoy it immensely. You know, being in this cramped apartment, being in this noisy, crowded city, they have this little oasis of a terrace inside their own closet. It's a respite within their tiny little home. But the more time they spend out on this terrace, the more things not only change within their little family, between them individually, but also in the world. This one intrigues me. I am going to approach it probably a little tentatively, a little nervously, but I am going to give it a go because there's just something about that magical quality of it that is kind of drawing me in. And also this one has themes of death and grief and loss and loneliness. And these are themes that were handled beautifully in a book that I just recently read that I haven't talked about. It's going to be talked about in my next wrap up. But because I heard about this book right after I finished that book, I was even more interested in diving into a book that handled those same themes. So if it's as interesting to you as it is to me, Terrace Story by Hilary Leichter comes out August 29th. So that's it. Those are the books that I am super excited to come out in August. So which of these books are you most excited about? Which books that I didn't mention in this video are coming out in August that you're excited about? I would love to know, or you could just say hi down in the doodly-doo. If you're still watching at this point, please consider giving that like button a boop, and a subscribe would be wonderful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.